Good. All set. You're live.
Hi everyone, good evening. It's so great to be here again. I'm Abigail Yara, your host, and we welcome you to this another episode of Techies Africa. Here with us is the Builders Table series, and here we discuss honest conversations about the real work behind building a meaningful life and career. So we go beyond just achievements and decision and tensions, but we try to discuss more on the journeys and professionals and how you can learn from their experiences. Now, today's session is unique. It's going to discuss on a question that have been bothering a lot of you. Question like how do we grow our careers, pursue excellence, stay grounded in faith, and show up fully for our families without losing ourselves in the balance? I won't be doing all the talking. So here I'm going to give you an opportunity to our speaker to introduce herself. So Mrs. Adaeze, the floor is yours.
Hi, good evening. Thank you so much for having me, Abby. It's a pleasure to share my life, or the way I like to call it, pay it forward. My name is Adaeze Raji. I have over 13 years work experience. I've worked in financial institution and consulting. Presently manage a team of about 25 staff. I work with Access ARM Pensions. I've worked with Access Bank. I've worked with Mazar, a consulting company. I've worked with Power Pensions, and I've also worked with Sigma Pensions. Presently pursuing my MBA with Lagos Business School, which I started last year. I'm married and I have two beautiful daughters. So yeah.
Thank you so much for explaining to us, giving us an idea about your personality and yourself. So we really want to hear like a backstory of your transition. So can you tell us how was it like for you during those period of over 13 years in the business industry? Can you take like let's start from there first.
Okay. I mean, it's been quite interesting. I remember I started working in Access Bank about 13 years ago. I had so much plans to do other things, but obviously, God had other plans for me. I started out as a contact center agent, after which I moved on to be a relationship manager. And it's just been transition after transition. But not to get ahead of myself, it's been quite interesting. It's been interesting, it's been stressful, it's been fulfilling, but it's been a journey that I have learned over time, and I found new ways, and I keep finding new ways to navigate, to make sure that what's important is always, in front of me.
Yeah, thank you so much for taking us that backstory. So we're approaching this topic now. Your topic is about balancing your work, that is your schooling, which is the MBA, your faith, and also your
Yeah.
family life. So let's take one at a time, okay? Now, the fact you where you are right now, you definitely didn't just get there at once. So at what point in your career did you realize that okay, you needed a growth, and without sorry, at what point in your career did you realize that growth without alignment can actually lead to burnout?
Mhm. Okay, so I remember I had my first baby in 2017. No, in 2018. I got married in 2017. I remember just sitting in my boss's saying to her that I can't do this anymore. I want to resign. And she started laughing. I'll never forget. I was like, I'm being quite serious. What's funny? Like, because I mean, my nanny had just left, the nanny that I trusted. Um, it wasn't working out because I was shows at 5. My daughter's crash was, shutting down at 4. And I just felt like I was trying and I was failing. And I remember, just I got called in at work that day that she was running. I had a deadline to, I had the deadline, like, according to the reports to work on. So, and then I just said, you know what, I'm thinking about resigning. And she just started laughing. And I said, okay, so tell me why. I said, I don't think I can do this anymore. It's all too much. And she says, how many kids do I have? And I said, three. And she said, Adaeze, you have one. You just need to find the right alignment and support. Your children will grow, I promise you. And when they do, if you had to drop everything else just to focus on them, once they move away, you'd either resent them for, leaving you with absolutely nothing, or you find yourself really unfulfilled at the point in your life. And so she just had to sit with me and we had to discuss realignment and, just decide what needs to go so that what's important can stay.
Yes. It's so you're trying to make us to understand that while you needed to focus on your responsibility as a mother, you still didn't want to let go of your responsibility at work and other tasks you had. And she was helping you to understand the need to strike a balance there. Is that what you were trying to pass across?
Yes. A way to balance both without losing out because
Okay. Can you hear me? I think I lost you there. Can you hear me, ma? Or is it my network? Can you hear me?
so hear me.
Okay, I can hear you now.
Okay. Okay, great.
Okay, so she gave you she gave you an advice, and first of all, how did you feel about that advice she gave to you? Did you feel like she was being a little pushy, or like how did you respond to the feedback that she gave to you?
So generally I like to look at feedback um as food for champions, right? When people who have gone ahead of you tell you something, you have to sit with it and you have to really ask yourself questions because I believed that she had my best interest at heart when she was giving me that feedback. And so I didn't feel pushed. I know that at the time I didn't want to leave my job, but at the same time, I needed to know that my children will be fine or that my daughter was going to be fine at the time. So just hearing her tell me that she'd been there, she had three kids, and I mean, I met her kids. She has stellar kids. In fact, two of them are on scholarship abroad at the moment. And so I thought, okay, that maybe there's something I'm missing. And so I'm really interested in finding out what it was that I could do better or realign to make sure that I don't lose out on one while trying to balance the other.
Okay, can you hear me now?
Yes, I can.
Okay, okay. So yes, I got that point very well. So you took it, you took it. What was the result? Like, how did that shape you or shape the circumstance you were in at that point in time?
I would say, I mean, I'm here. My daughter is eight this year. Um,
Oh,
and I'm still here. So so that really helped. That really helped,
it's
and
very
she's doing really good too.
well.
Say again.
Okay, so can you hear me now? I lost you for a
Yes, I
sec.
can. Yes, I can.
Okay, now fast forward. You said you're an MBA. Now you no longer just one, you have two children. This the experience had in the past, like what really pushed you to do MBA at this stage of your life?
Um, so
Hello, can you hear me?
I can. Yes, I can. Can you hear me? Hello?
Yes, clearly now.
Hello? Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you. Very clear.
Okay. Okay, great. Yeah, you were saying that I'm doing my MBA now and I have two kids. Can you hear me?
Yes, so the question was, yes, I can hear. Was what really pushed you to pursue an MBA course like at this stage of your
Right. Okay. So I mean I personally, yeah, I can hear you. I personally I have an arts background. I studied mass communication and I've been in finance and consulting, which are very technical fields. Finance is really technical. Consulting is also very technical. And so I find that I'm doing quite well. But I mean, I have a mentor, which is so important, right? It's always good to have a mentor who you can speak with from time to time. And we had sat down to sort of plan my next 3 to 5 years last year. Yeah, last year or 2 years ago. And he had asked, what's my next level? I mean, in the next 5 to 10 years, I should be looking at director level, board level conversations, right? By the grace of God. And so he said to me, you have the experience, you have everything. What's missing? I'm chartered in marketing from the Chartered Institute of Marketing UK. I have a digital marketing institute certification from UK. Um, um, Marketing Nigeria. But I had to start thinking about next level, and the next level is boardroom. The next level is directorates, yeah. And for those levels, you need some level of understanding of business and how it works. Once you want to get to that level, it's no more about your passion. It's more about can you look at a business and can you make it work? Do you understand? And so since that's where I was in my career, I thought, even though it was such a difficult decision, I thought it was a sacrifice I needed to make. And so I decided to go ahead and do it. Can you hear me? I'm struggling to hear you. I don't know if it's just me. Can you hear me now? Is anyone else able to um, identify the problem is from my end or from Abigail's?
because I'm hearing you very well.
Okay, I'm hearing you loud and clear now.
Okay, so I'm going to repeat the question again. You mentioned earlier about a year since you started, and I would just want you to walk through What's like a day in your life as an MBA student? Your mom, and you also have background experiences. So, taking that advice, planning your years ahead, what's like a day for you for this particular MBA course?
Um, so I personally, which is a bit more flexible, my companies were aware about that I'm doing my MBA, which makes it easy for work. I just rounded up one intense week of my MBA today, right before I got on this call. Um, so what that means is I have a team that I work with. I would say that, I mean, before I run through what a day like is, what a day is like, I like to just um just, you do need your support system. And my system is my family, my friends, my community of people, and then the team that I pay. I personally like to say that I don't have as much savings as I would like to have right now. But that's the sacrifice that I've made to sort of live the life that allows me to do as much as I do. And abroad shared a story with me. She said that when she moved abroad, she said to herself, I'm not going to leave my career. I'm going to pay nanny. It's quite expensive. And she says percent of her salary of 60 to care and all of that. At the end of the day, she's growing. At a point, the child will not need that now. So there are certain decisions that you make, and I call it opportunity for those of us who did what's it called, economics. You would remember, right? It's called opportunity cost, and the opportunity cost is why I'd like to have a lot of savings. I have a comfortable life, and I also want my children. If it means paying extra, do it. If it means having a driver who can shuttle me around, go get my nanny, pick up my nanny from the house, go get my kids. I have a tracker on my the car as it goes. I have cameras in my house. I mean, all these are really expensive, and at the end of the day, the sacrifice I'm deciding to make, because myself, I still want to give my children the standard of life that I would give them if I was a stay-at-home mom, where I'm able to be there for them. But then at the same time, I'm not sacrificing their growth and their care on the table of my growth, if that makes sense. So, typically on a day when I have, or on a week when I have just work to do, I have, in the mornings, I get ready. I wake up in the morning, I get my kids ready. With their nanny. We lay out their clothes the night before, pack Bible study. I wake up as early as 5 a.m. I do my Bible study, prayer. If I have a prayer call with friends, we get on a prayer call. I have my say word of prayer at home, and then we get into the bathroom. Sometimes I'm shower them, I'll shower them. The nanny starts to get them ready. Dad takes them to school. Pack their breakfast. Sometimes get to eat breakfast before they leave, or if we're breakfast in the car on the way to school. I get into the office. I see my team. I delegate to my team so important. I try to make sure that I have a team that can do just as well as I would do with or without my presence. I make where I train with my team from time to time, keep them on their toes. I train one or two of my leads to make sure that whatever they do, they will do without me being there. On a day when my work is hectic, I can call my friends, and when I say friends, again, I mean carefully because kids are very um sensitive, so you can't just ship them off to anyone to pick them up, right? Um, so I make sure that
Yeah.
can you still hear me?
Yes, I can hear you very clear.
Can
I
you
can hear
still
you.
hear me?
Yes, I've been hearing you all this while.
Yeah. Okay. Just needs group of community friends, about three of them who I've tested their values. We align on values. They have daughters too. I know their husbands. I know what is important to them. They is important to me. I can trust them with my kids. So they would typically pick up. If I'm not able to pick my kids, they'll typically pick them up because I pick them up, or my car and my nanny picks them up. And then they get home. Then the car comes back for me, and by that time, I'm shutting down from work. I get home. Um, I sometimes in the car, and I will say this: it's going to take the back burner when you're doing things like this. So when it comes to having conversations, whether it's online. I'm sorry, I needed to respond to my mom. Um, Social media would take a back burner, right,
Okay.
at this time. So I would typically leave social media. Um, if I have an assignment, I get on my assignment. Sometimes I just start reading in the car while my driver is taking me home. Get home to the kids about maybe 6:30. We start to do our assignments together. Um, Mommy's doing her own. We're doing every assignments, and then by the time we're done, um, sometimes they have a lesson teacher who will also come sometimes maybe because I'm having a hectic day time. 30 they're in bed. So between 7:30 to 9:30, I can just stay, excuse me, work. Or if I have an assignment, I get it done, I hand it in. I say my prayers, and then I always make sure that I go to bed early. My friends, they call me an early bed, 9:30, 10. I'm in bed because I do so much that I know that I need my beauty rest. I don't want to look like whatever I'm going through or whatever I'm doing at the time. So I try to make sure that I get in bed early enough, and then I'm up the next day at 5 a.m. So that's my routine, my typical day routine.
Wow, wow, wow. Honestly, I must say this is not something you would hear every day, because someone looking at you, maybe your profile, your, yes, just as a glance, you they wouldn't really guess what's behind the scene and the struggles and how you have to meet up with those responsibilities. So I want us to now look at this from the angle of your. You mentioned that you usually recruit, or rather you delegate tasks to your team. You know, they say your team is as strong as the weakest person in the. So how do you approach training your team? I think you have a team of about 25 people you mentioned. So what's your approach on training them so that while you're trying to attend to other activities, your workload it's not suffering too with those people you are dedicated to?
So ideally, there'll always be one or two weak links. What I try to do is I try to match like for like. So if maybe I have a very strong person, I try to pair the person with a weak person. And or when I'm around, I allow the weaker staff join me, and then I just try to train them, talk to them. For those ones, I try to micromanage them just a little bit more. I will do counterparts. Because I also like to say, you don't throw away the baby with. Everyone has strengths. Someone might be weak in a strength. Someone might be weak in something, but really good at another. And so I try to play up whatever strength that they have, and then I skew things. So if ideally everyone in the team has five um, KPI metrics, and one person is good at maybe one or two, while the others are good, I can skew it in such a way that the bulk of that work that person is good at moves to that person, while the other people then handle. And at the end of the day, we just balance it out. So I try to make sure that I look at each person and I match them with strength.
Hmm. I don't know them, but I feel your team will be so grateful to have you as a team lead, as a leader, because the fact that you don't lay out, like you don't lay off those people you feel are not meeting up to the requirements, but giving them opportunity to upgrade, to learn more. It's kind of amazing. But here's a trick question now. How do you try to balance business and the empathy? You're still trying to consider them, their weakness. So where's the balance between work focus and empathy?
So I have to be fair as a person. I've had an entitled staff who I'll probably have to pass on her soon. And I say this because I've done everything I can, and I find that maybe she might do better somewhere else. Um, when it comes to business, I like to be as fair and transparent as possible. My team know we appraise ourselves on the go. It's a very transparent system. So if someone is not doing well, you will tell yourself, right? By the time we're doing the reports as a team, everybody else does their reports. Your report comes out clear that you're not doing something. I'll start advising you in front of others. This person does better here. Why don't you try to meet up? But the point is we appraise ourselves. Business is business. You have honest, frank conversations with people. My middle name is empathy. I'm very empathetic. But at the same time, I understand that it can't be at the detriment of the business.
Yeah.
And so you have to constantly have those conversations. I don't wait for appraisals or like a 6 month window to say to you, you've not done well, and then bring down the hammer. No, it's a weekly conversation. It's a bi-weekly conversation. By the time you're getting to the 6 month on your own, you already know what's coming, right? And it makes it easier than when it comes 6 months and the person just feels like you're trying to maybe sabotage them, or you're not doing right by them.
Wow. Thank you so much for really taking us. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Okay. So thank you so much for really taking us through that aspect of your work life. You mentioned something about your routine with your children and how you try to manage the activities together with your work. You still need to spend time with your family. And I know you do. So, what's your routine to spend time with your friends, your family? Yes. What's your routine like?
So I think for me, right, I always say there are glass balls and there are rubber balls. Glass balls will always be your kids, right? Your kids, your friends, your family. Work will come, work will go, will retire, but these are the people who will always be around you. Um, so for my kids, they always know. I always try to align my leave with their holiday, and then we always plan our holiday together. So if maybe we're maybe traveling out, we'll say, oh, this is where we're going to go. and then we'll make sure that my leave aligns with when they're in school. If we're going to be in town, we'll look at fun places, and I'll pick fun places with them, and I'll say, oh, we're going to go maybe to skating rink, or we're going to spend 3 hours. And sometimes I go with their nanny. I have my laptop. I can spend time with them. We'll play. We'll cheese when they go into play. And then I also, again, a community, right? I always make sure that I align my play dates with my friends and the kids. So by the time we're going, we're having a good time on our own. Our kids are having a good time. The nannies are there. We're watching over as well. 2 hours of that, everybody comes out feeling, you know, full of emotions and just being filled up with joy. And so it's like with everything, I have to plan and their priorities. So I plan around that.
Hmm. I am so glad that you try as much as possible not to leave out the phone time with your kids. I mean, as much as they need all the physical support, educational support, they also need the emotional support that cannot be gotten from anyone else, but uniquely from the parents. So I appreciate that so much. But there's always, will I say, um, yeah, health challenges comes along the way. I agree. No matter how hard you try to be healthy, to you have your routines of healthy activities, it happens. You have a setback in your health. So how do you make sure that your health is checked in, like you're not lagging in an area of your health for you personally?
The first thing I'll say, I always go to bed at 9:30, 10. In fact, my friends, if they catch me awake at 10, they'll say, wow, it's Christmas. Like if you actually see me, like I go to bed at 9:30, 10, because I find that that's something that really balances me. Sleep. Once I'm able to sleep between 10 to 5, I'm fine, because I mean, my body goes through a lot. So that 7 hours sleep is so important to me. Um, and then also, there are times when I just take a day off in the middle of the week and I work from home, just so that I don't have to get up, yank up. And it also allows me to slow down with my kids, pick them up from school, them in the car. And then I also do my health checks every 6 months or so. I try to make sure that, I have my HMO, I do my health checks. I try to hit the gym from time to time. I lag behind more than I
Mm,
should, but I do try to hit the gym.
okay, yeah, I'm hearing you now. Yeah, I'm hearing
Okay.
you. Yes. So you
Yeah,
were
so I
saying
try.
you lagging behind on that the gym.
Yes, but I try my best. I do try my possible best. To make sure that I'm at the gym as often as possible. And then also just health checks. And once I feel, even, I mean, it's like headache. I'm headed out. Like I don't. I My body is the one thing God has given me that I can't. So if I just have a headache for long, I either get in the car to rest my head for a bit, or I just shut my office door. I put my head down to take like a power nap of like 10 to 15 minutes. And then I get up again, I feel better. And then I also try to eat well. I try to eat healthy. I try not to starve myself, except I'm fasting. You know, um, I generally don't eat breakfast, but I try to maybe have a fruit or maybe a smoothie. And then I try not to eat heavy at night. So those are some of the things I
Okay.
do
Okay.
to make sure.
Yeah. Thank you so much that you've walked us through that. Now we can agree that with the improvement in technology, that is AI, a lot of people um, have a lot of benefits as in AI, the support. So, is there a way that the improvement of technology, the use of AI, has really helped your workflow and yeah, your business to really streamline it, like to make it yeah easy for you?
Yes, it has. I mean, for like things, but I mean, I like to use AI responsibly. But yes, even with like my assignment, there are things that help me just um go like summarize something that is really long. makes it easier for me to read on like a time crunch. Maybe I need to just understand an email. I need to be in a meeting, but I can't be. I can just put AI to, record and come and give me like feedback. So yeah, AI has been really good. It's been such, I mean, it's such an amazing time to do 1 million things at the same time with the help of AI.
Hmm. So really, we have a lot to say and to thank you for. You really worked out a lot in your life right now, and I know there's a couple of things you would like to give as advice to anyone who going to business development. So, can you share some with us? What advice would you give someone who wants to go into business development?
Hmm. I would say, frankly, because I put faith, I can speak easily. The Bible says to seek ye first the kingdom of God and his righteousness, and everything will be added unto us. And the Bible also says that the earth is the Lord's and the fullness thereof. And so what this means is, my friends will always joke about it and say, you're always talking about God. And I'm like, I can't have done the much that I've done without the help of God. I can't have achieved the much I've achieved without the help of God. So I will say, make friends. Your network is going to do a lot for you. Be invested in people's lives. Care a little about the next person. Your best referral might come from someone that you least expect, a gate man. I remember there was a business I was trying to get into, and it was the gate man that used to give me information. I'll just sit with him. Then when I came, lovely guy. And, I was able to meet the MD through him. So to not look down at anyone, if you want to do well in business development, you have to have grit. You have to know how to take no and just dust it off and know that you get another yes soon, but just to keep going. But yeah, I think those are the most important things I can say. I think you're muted, Abigail.
Thank you. I didn't realize. So, I want to thank you so much for really outlining that. I'm sure the audience would really benefit from that advice. There's one thing we skipped during the discussion. We can say you didn't have any setback or any challenge, or if you're still currently going through search. Yes, can you walk us through anything that had been a challenge for you through this your
Hmm.
work years?
Sorry. Yeah. Sorry, I'm trying to join with my own. I hope that's okay. But I think this one is going down a bit. I would say that the first thing is there will also you can't go grow. Um um Can you hear me? Can you still hear me? Can you still hear me? Okay, great. So yeah, challenges are a part of life. Uh I would say I've had part of the challenges I've had at difficult bosses. I've had one or two difficult bosses. I've been amazing bosses. I must say before I say difficult bosses. I worked with the same MD for 11 years through three companies. Um, that should say something. That was such an amazing boss. The boss I'm presently working with, I've worked with her for about 7 or 6 years now. Um, and they've been instrumental to my MBA and helping me through my MBA amongst a lot of other things. But I will say, I've hit some glitches in the sense of maybe having like really bad bosses. And you know how they say the reward for hard work is more work. So what happens is most times when something isn't working or when something is really bad, I find that I get thrown in to go work on it, work on it, which can sometimes feel like punishments, but that it's the trust that my boss has for me that makes me, go there. And what I like to do whenever I go somewhere is, to dig down. It's a lot of work. It's a lot of nitty gritty work, but I find that hard work pays. My dad would say something when we're growing up. He'll say, work that you do won't do you back. So work will stay as you. And so it can be a bit difficult at times because I've had to maybe report to people who maybe feel like I'm outshining them because I do a lot of work. But what I find is to just stay low. Your boss is always right. Find ways to work around difficult bosses. Look for things that they want. Ask them what it is that they want and expect and try to work around it. But if they prove to be extremely difficult, then I mean, you can just take it up and report and see if anything will be done about it. But I have experienced that to a large extent.
So what has been working for you? Okay, though you mentioned a bit of that, but maybe you can just rephrase it. So what have been working for you through those years of having to deal with difficult bosses?
So I mean, it wasn't a long time. I worked with this particular difficult boss for maybe like a year or two. Um, but what I find is just keep your head up. The thing about work life is as long as you're working, other people are seeing it. It's not just the person you're working with, right? I would just usually hand it over to God and I'll take it in stride and I'll learn because the truth is what difficult bosses also do for you is they stretch you. So I learn. I try not to complain because I mean complain doesn't do much. So I try not to sit down and engage in idle talk. I learn, I give feedback. I try to know what they want because sometimes difficult bosses are just trying to get something, but they're just not communicating it right. So I try to get fish out what it is they want, and then I try to make sure that I do it the best of my ability. While if it gets too bad, then I just escalate and see if they can move me out.
That is very, very true. And most time you say that you're able to cope with such persons, and people will be like, "How are you even working with this person?" I've heard like that. How are you coping with this person? I
Yeah,
didn't even last a year with her, and you've been working with her for how long? So yes, the strategy works. I agree. It does. So the question I'll ask now
it does.
is, if you were to give like top three skills, if you were to mention top three skills that would help a person in his work, like ambition and trying to develop his business, what are the top three skills this each one would definitely need to succeed?
Hard work, um, relationships, relationships are so important. And finally, I would say diligence. Diligence really pays. But I would round it all up with God. um, all of this will be perfect when God crowns your effort with success. So when you do all else, you still hand it over to God. And I say this because hard work pays, diligence pays. Um, and just staying on track, relationships, people find it hard to. I think one of the problem people have is they're not humble enough and they think too highly of themselves. I remember a particular work that my boss had sent us to do, and I went with my subordinates, and the man insulted us. Really did. My team leader was like, my team leader and staff, they were like, boss, we can't do this. We're not staying here. And I remember they left me there. But I was like, I came here for something. Whatever insult is not a reflection on me, it's a reflection on how whatever he's going through, it has nothing to do with me. And I remember him saying, pepper sellers, you are this and that. You just come here, come and pepper sell. When he was done talking, and he said, you just come, pepper selling marketing. When it was done, I said, sir, are you a Christian? He said, yes, I am. I said, I want to quote a Bible verse for you. Don't be offensive. Okay. I said, do you remember the woman who went to Jesus and Jesus Christ was like, I didn't come here for you. And he said, do you remember what the woman replied? He said, yes. I said, the woman said, even the crumbs. I said, when you're done insulting me, sir, even the crumbs, I'll collect it. And he started laughing. He laughed and laughed and laughed. And we became very good friends. I got one of my biggest businesses from him. So sometimes you have to look beyond you to what you went there for. Sometimes we are too proud to wait. I'll tell my team members, let's sit by the gate and wait. They'll say, boss. I'm like, sit down and wait. Sit with the gates man. There's absolutely nothing wrong with it. Sit down. You know what you came here for. Once you're done, you leave. And so I think just that the ability to just not think so highly of yourself really does help you go far in life. It really does. I mean, not to say that, you sort yourself or collect. If you know what you're there for, you just keep your face as flames until you get what
Of
you want, and
course.
then you leave. But you make sure that you go well dressed, you look really good. So even the person talking to you looks at you and knows that you're not hungry. You just came with purpose, and most times, um, it'll break. It'll break.
Thank you so much for really walking us through a typical day as a mom, as an MBA student, and also as a businesswoman. It's really been a fun evening, and I'm sure I'm not the only one that really enjoyed the session. So, thank you so much for taking the time to really discuss with us. You know, the thing that the secret is that many people have ambitions, they really want to do more, but they don't know the secret behind everything, the backstory and the journeys, the hidden scars and the discipline you have to put yourself through to get there. And your example really put everything on the table so that in case someone is trying to reach out to something more, be it business or whatever ambition he has, you that there are so many criteria you need to meet up to, and you have to just have those qualities and those skills needed. Thank you so much once again. It's really a pleasure to having you here. And I'm sure you definitely didn't regret having this opportunity with us too.
Absolutely. Thank you. I'm always happy to pay it forward, to teach or just hand over information to the next generation. Someone did it for me, so I'm happy to do it for the next person. That's how we grow in life. Just being able to teach and hand down information is how we help others grow. So yes, I was more than happy to come on here and speak. Thank you for the time.
Thank you too. So for the audience, this is a typical of how it runs in the builders table. So we don't just come here to talk about businesses. We try to help people see what's behind those struggles and what you need to do in order for you to also reach the success, the apex of your ambition. So we look forward to our session, and we hope you
Yeah.
also get to join and have a lot to benefit from. So once again, Mrs. Adaeze, Raji, thank you so much for this opportunity.
Thank you for your time. Thank you so much.
Yes.
Thank you, Abigail. Thank you to your team
So,
as well. Have a good evening, everyone.
and you too. Good night.
Night.